or if you prefer to use the print screen function, that's perfectly fine as well. We will have a product submission for you guys to do later on so that you can practice creating your own digital manipulative. And then because this is an advanced session, we are going to be moving kind of fast. So we're recording this. The recordings will be available, I believe, sometime next week. I don't know that they'll be available today per se, but it is recorded so that you can come back and play and, pause and rewind as you need to. And then lastly, we're going to provide you with a link to book online appointments with the InSec department. If you need additional help beyond what we have provided you today or what's in the recording, then you can book online help with InSec. And again, we will provide that towards the end of the session along with the attendance link. You're muted, Isaac.
Thank you. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
All right. So before we begin officially with the lesson, in the chat box, I posted a document that has all the resources, links that we'll be using, slides, and how to step-by-step notes. So if you want to open that and save it now, you can. Once again, I'll post it at the end so that way you'll have access to it again. So hopefully that'll be another resource for you to use. And also, I noticed in the chat, it was pretty much all elementary. If at the end of the session you would like me to go over some secondary examples, just let me know and we can go over that towards the end as well. So the first thing, if you are following along in the hub, you will see this. If you're not following along in the hub, just kind of watch me and I'll go through some examples. I'll click on that. I'm going to go ahead and make a copy. Okay, so normally in a slide presentation, if you were to give this to a student, they would be able to click on anything and move it, resize it, reshape it, delete. So you don't want that to happen. So as a student, if you submitted this to me in the hub, this is what I would see. I would see the title, which I click on it, I can't move. I would see this cat, I can't move it. I would see these blocks, these letters, I can't move it. The eraser, I can't move it. What I can move is the letters down here. And exactly the steps right there, drag a letter. So I want to drag a letter. So I see a picture of a cat. So I would drag letters to spell out cat. As an elementary teacher, you could use the same backdrop. You would just change the picture of the cat. Maya will show you how to do all of this later. I'm just kind of running through some examples. So let's say on the second slide, you had a picture of a bat. So they would use the same format, same letters, spell out bat. Then on the third slide, you could have a picture of a hat. Then they use the same letters to spell out the word hat. This is just one example. I'll go through a few more. This second part, okay? So same thing. I'm clicking up here in the directions, the words. I'm clicking on the pictures, okay? It's not going to let me move that. All of that's set into place. This is a math example. Raul has 4 green gummy bears. Kathy gave him 7. How many does he have altogether? So as a student, if I receive this assignment or this practice in the hub, I'd be like, okay, Raul has 4, so let me drag 4 gummy bears over. And as a student, they're going to drag them wherever. It doesn't matter. As long as they get the idea, okay, I'm counting 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Kathy gave him 7. Okay, so I'll drag 7 gummy bears over. I'm not actually going to drag all 7, but you get the idea. So at the end, the student would count them all together. So they count all the green ones, all the red ones, 11, and they put their answer either in a chat, in the assignment box, wherever you designate the answer should be. If it's a live example, the kind of that you're using it with them, then it's just something that they could practice along with you. This is another example for science. As you see, I'm clicking different spots, and I can't move anything. Pictures, text box, I can't move anything, okay? It gives me the directions. Use the cards below to label the parts of the water cycle, okay? And so you're not always going to have the students put it in the right spot, right? Like they might put it up in the clouds. They're like, oh, it's coming from the clouds. Or they might put it closer to the ground. It's falling to the ground. So as a teacher, right, you're not checking all those little details. You just want to see, do they understand the concept? Do they understand what I'm trying to teach them? Something you could do for higher grade levels. So let's just say you're in 4th or 5th grade and you're teaching them. Instead of having something so simple as this, you can actually expand this text box once you create it and include the instructions and tell me what happens. So not only do they have to drag the box in the correct spot, then you would have a text box down here that they would have to fill in, explaining what is happening during this process. Another example would be for geography. Social studies, drag the cards to label the compass. Now, sometimes you might have students that they just don't know. So they might leave the words over here. And that's another way that you can go back and check for understanding. Let's say they put north right there on the arrow. Of course, they get the idea that north is pointing up. That's why they would put it on the arrow. But sometimes, they might put it up here. Well, that's north for them. Or, you might even have maybe some other ones that maybe they're not paying attention all the way, or they don't understand that. They put it over here like North America. Okay? So this is just, like I said, another way for you to kind of gauge their understanding, to have a reason to go back and kind of facilitate a conversation with them and kind of figure out what are they thinking, what's going through their mind, why do they do this? Not that it's right or wrong, to just kind of understand their thought process. These are secondary examples. Like I said, at the end, we can go over those. If anybody would like, just let us know, and we'll review those at the end.
All right. Can you guys see this screen okay? Probably not. I don't see the red.
Not yet.
Give me 1 second. Okay. So I'm going to walk you guys through how to create this from scratch. I know as elementary teachers, a lot of you guys probably have cardstock, and you print these cards, and then you go through the process of cutting them out and laminating them. And then you're going to put them in little baggies so they're really cute, so that you can then give them to your students and they can take them out and manipulate them. This is just a digital way of doing the exact same thing. And so I've created just kind of a basic, very generic document. There's only 2 things that you're going to need to create one from scratch, and that's whatever document you're going to use for your card sort, and then a blank slide presentation. So the document that we're going to use, if you click on that original document, I'm going to go down here and we'll take history and reading, because I know algebra and biology is more secondary courses. You could name this social studies. I just wanted to use something that was short enough to match with the rest of these. So the way we're going to create our cards for the card sort is I'm going to go down here to my Windows Start button, and go to search, okay, which is right next to it. I'm going to type in snipping tool. Okay, this is going to give me the snipping tool app that I mentioned earlier. If you're like me and you use a snipping tool for almost everything, I'm going to right click, and you can actually pin this to your taskbar so that you have it right here at the ready. Right now, for our purpose, I'm just going to left click it to open it up. Your snipping tool has multiple options. There's a delay, so if you need to, snip something that has, other like drop down boxes open, and you need a couple of seconds to get those open, because if you click away from those drop down boxes on some screens don't stay there. So you've got your delay function, and then there's the mode. So this is really great for being able to snip things that are not your regular rectangular or square shape. So the freeform snip, if I want to snip the shape of a fish, then I can snip the shape of a fish using the freeform. I can do a window snip that will only snip what's inside the window, or I can do a full screen snip. That is what we're going to use the rectangular one for today. And all I'm going to do is highlight what I want to snip. So I'm on my reading card, and then I'm going to save it. Okay. And then I'm going to go to new, and I'm going to take my history card and I'm going to save it. And for the sake of time, I'm only going to do these 2. So I'll do just the, oh, sorry. Let me get this other one out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to take this one. We'll call this pick 1. And then I'll do this one. We'll call this pick 2. All right, so then my snipping tool is done. I don't need the snipping tool anymore, so I can just close out of that. I also don't need this document anymore, so I'm going to close that out as well. Okay, now the blank slide presentation. You don't have to use this one that's linked here. You can open up a blank slide presentation from Google Drive, but if you're following along in the hub, go ahead and click that one. It'll force you to make a copy. It's a template, so I've actually included instructions off to the side here to kind of help you go along with us. Now, the first thing I need to do is change my layout. I don't want these boxes here because I'm not going to use those. All right. So I'm going to change my layout to blank. That gives me a blank white canvas. Okay. Now, because I don't want my students to be able to just throw the cards anywhere, because if I put these cards here right now, without giving them some sort of boundaries or some sort of direction as to where to put the cards, there's no telling what you're going to get, especially with these elementary babies. Okay, so I am going to create a space for them to actually put the cards in. All right, so there's one card, and I'm just going to Control Copy and Control V, or Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and I'm going to paste it 3 more times and move these where I want them to go. Okay, and so now I've created a boundary. Now, as elementary, I would make each one of these a different color, maybe put another, a picture of, some different subjects, make this background really colorful. I mean, you could create any template or any placemat that you want, make it as bright, vibrant, colorful as you want, because none of that's going to be able to move. All right. So right now, if I gave this to my students as is, they could take this box and move it anywhere on this screen that I want. I don't want that. So in order to flatten all this out and make it so that they can't move it, I'm going to go to File, Download, and then JPEG Image. Now what that's going to do is it's going to take everything inside the white box and it's going to make it a picture. Then what you need to understand though is it's not going to take the gold instructions box on the side, because it's not inside of the white box. It's only going to take what's inside the white box, and it's going to come down here and save it. It's a copy of practice slide template. Okay. Then I'm going to add a slide. So you can do this 2 ways. I can delete everything on this slide, on slide 1, and then change my background. Or I can add a slide, go back to a blank template, and then I'm going to change my background. So this is what's going to create that flattened surface that has features that students cannot move or manipulate. So when you go to background, you're going to choose your image. This is the image that we just downloaded. Okay, so copy of practice slide template. I'm going to open that. That is now going to take those 4 boxes, and as you see now, I can click and drag, and none of those are going to go anywhere. All right, they are stationary on that page. I'm going to go back to slide 1, and I'm just going to delete it, because I don't want to give my students slide 1. I don't want them to have that option of moving anything around, so I'm going to delete it. That was literally just what I used to create my background. All right, now, this is when I'm going to go and grab those cards that I saved earlier. So I'm going to insert image, because they saved as image files, upload from computer. And now I can grab all 4 of these at one time. All right. I don't have to go back and forth and get one by one. I can grab all 4 of them at one time, open that. It's going to paste them there. Now, they're all different sizes, and I want them to be able to fit inside these boxes. So the one that I feel like fits the best is probably, these 2 little bitty ones. So I need to make my history and reading ones the same size. So I'm going to right click, go to Format Options, Size and Rotation. And I notice that this one is about 3 inches by 2 inches. So I am going to make sure that all of them are about the same size. So 3 inches by 2 inches, 3 inches by 2 inches. Okay, so now they're all about the same size. They fit really nicely inside those boxes. And now I need to lock the aspect ratio. That'll lock the aspect ratio for all 4. Okay, Now, as I take these off of my mat, I'm going to add a text box, and I'm going to give my students some directions, all right? I want them to have directions so that they know exactly what I want them to do.
As Maya is typing those, you can see that she's putting them off here to the side. You can actually include those in the actual slide if you want, in between the pictures at the bottom, wherever you feel comfortable as a teacher. Because when you send this to the students in the hub, when you post it, they're going to see exactly what is on the screen right now. They're going to see the pictures, the words, the 4 boxes, and then the directions. So they'll have view of all of this.
Okay. And again, because this is elementary, I'm going to make it nice and pretty. I'm going to give it a nice little background. For secondary, I'd probably do the same thing, right? So now, this is pretty much done, okay? I've got everything here that I need for my students to do. From this point on, you're going to go, you would be in the hub, and I'm going to go ahead and show you, because I know elementary is not typically abreast at using the hub, so I'm going to go out and I'm going to show you guys how to add this to your assignment, okay? So if I'm going to add an assignment, I'm just going to show you guys this. So I'll go to add, here's an assignment, and I'm going to call this test assignment. This is where I would place my directions. Maybe I could put a link here. I could put even a picture here of an exemplar of something that I want them to do. Then I'm going to go down here. This is where you add your files. All right. So you click here. I would go to Google Drive. Go to Google Drive. Let me see if it'll find it for me. All right, copy of practice slide template. All right, so that's the one that I have here, right? It's now linked. Now I'm going to go over here. The default option is that students can view. We want to change it to make a copy for each student, okay? What that's going to do is when your students click on answer assignment, it's going to automatically put a copy of that file into their Google Drive.
And so this is what
it'll also attach their name to it. Go ahead, Isaac.
Oh, and this is why we're using Google Slides instead of Microsoft PowerPoint. The same concept can be used in PowerPoint, but because Google Slides works so well with the hub, it gives us this option. So we can use the slide in here, and like Maya said, you can make a copy for each student. So when that student goes to open the assignment, and I'll show you right now, let me switch my screen.
Here, let me stop presenting. Here we go.
Okay. So as a student, I would go in and I would see, this would be the assignment for me. I would see it like this, okay? Sorry, it says not submitted. I already clicked open. So I would click open assignment and it would give me exactly what Maya put in. So when the student opens it, they see the exact same thing. They see the blank slide. They see the template. If you had already had one with the letters that they can move, then they would be able to see the letters that they can move. If you have a completely blank one, like you want them to try and make their own, they could try and make their own. So whatever you put in as example, so if you put this geography one as the example, that's what they would see when they opened it up. If you put the cat one or whichever one you created as the example, that's exactly what they would see when they open the assignment, when they open this up, and then they would just click submit. So just a few more resources. The snipping tool that Maya used earlier, like she said, you're more than welcome to use your own tool, whatever you feel comfortable with. For us, this just seems like it's the one that's a little bit more efficient, a little bit quicker, more easy to organize the files and drag and drop and click and cut and all that stuff. But here's a quick short video about it. Changing the slide background, the same thing that Maya went over earlier, just in video format. So if you're a little bit more visual friendly, there you go. And a couple of things before we officially close out. As Maya mentioned earlier, if you need help, any extra additional resources beyond what we've shown you and beyond what we'll continue to provide you until the end, feel free to reach out to Instech. Instech at houstonisd.org is the same as the academic instructional technology. So if you go to HISD website and you look up academic instructional technology, this organization, this group is the same as Instech. And just a second in the chat, I'll post a link. So if you need, like we said, additional support even after the video and you've gone over the slides and everything, not only with this session, but with other items, the hub, things like that, feel free to reach out to us, Academic Instructional Technology. Probably won't be Maya or myself. There's a lot of us on the team, but there are team members standing by to schedule an appointment with. You can choose the option that best suits your needs. You select the time, you enter your name and information, and they'll send you an email to confirm until let you know the date and time of your appointment with them. So I'll go ahead and put that in the chat in just a little bit. But at this point, it is open for questions. If you need any additional support, if you want to review any examples, just let us know. Either type it in the chat or use the raise your hand feature, and we'll do our best to try and get in as many answers to as many questions as we can. I'm going to post the attendance link right now.
So go ahead and use the raise your hand feature, guys, and I will try and catch those questions as they come in.
I'm just posting a few links in the chat if you need me to post them again, or I know sometimes they get lost in the chat as people post things. Just let me know and I'll go ahead and continue to repost them. Okay. Yeah.
As for the attendance link, if it's telling you you need permissions, you have to use your HISD email address. If you have the P number, which is P00, and then your ID number at houstonisd.org, or if you've been with the district for longer than about 5 years, then you can use your whatever your portal email address is.
Also, if you're already in Google Drive, so let's just say that you're already logged into the computer in your own account, but you go to Google Drive, make sure that it's in the HISD account. So the best way to check that is to go to your Drive and make sure that the email that you have says houstonisd.org, not your own personal email. Otherwise, it won't let you access the form.
Yep. If it says at gmail.com, then you need to click on that add button at the bottom, and you need to add your HISD to that.
Or you can sign out and re-sign back in under your HISD, whichever one you feel is more comfortable for you.
So, Mr. Nguyen, are you logged into Google using your HISD email?